There's been a lot of conversations about the quality of the latest 63 screenshots and this video, and people are asking themselves, is this better quality than all the other screenshots we got a year ago? For example, in this screenshot, we can zoom all the way in and you can still see that the quality maintains a lot. So I just wanted to go and zoom in, and why some images look absolutely stunning, but once you zoom in, it's not really that great, and why with other images, when you zoom in, the quality just stays absolutely phenomenal. The first question we should ask ourselves is, how did Rockstar capture and record these videos and screenshots? Do they have their own in-house way of capturing it? The most probable pipeline is a free camera/photo tool inside an internal development build running on a high-end PC. So not a retail console like the PS5 or PS5 Pro, because on a PC you can force the settings to maximum, forcing the game into ray tracing uncapped, the image being rendered offline of course, and frame rate not mattering at all because it's a still frame. Therefore it's not being played in real time. There's also a thing called oversampling, which is rendering high like 8K and then downsampling it to 4K, which is a possibility and reason for us to be able to zoom in so much in certain screenshots. I love this screenshot, but one of the things that I'm starting to really kind of despise is the ray tracing, where the noise is just so annoying to me, and hopefully this is fixed by the time that GTA 6 actually comes out. This is all due to the RTX reflection technology. Let me break down why this is actually happening. Ray tracing is a sampling process, so to work out what a surface should reflect or how much bounced light lands on it, the engine fires a limited number of quote probe rays per pixel and averages the result. In real time it can afford many, often it's showing well under 1 ray per pixel for reflections and global illumination, and reusing data to fill the gaps, because if you already know how something should reflect, why calculate it again if you can use that same information? However, when you average too few samples, you get variance, and variance shows up to the eye as this noise. So it's actually derivative from what it should look like, because ray tracing technology is just kind of guessing in between. It's the same reason why in the dark photos are so grainy. There's not enough light hitting the sensor, so the camera just guesses and fills it in with basically visual misinformation. That is especially why the back of this mirror is the noisiest thing in the shot. A perfectly smooth mirror, flat surface only, needs 1 ray because light bounces off in exactly one direction. A glossy or slightly rough metal surface like that curved mirror right here scatters the reflection across a lot of directions. This is called a specular lobe. To resolve a blurry reflection like that cleanly, you need many rays, and the engine simply doesn't have the budget in terms of hardware capability to get you that sparkly, glossy, accurate reflection. Rough glossy metal, wet but not mirror surfaces, and semi-reflective plastic are always where ray tracing noises concentrates. Meanwhile, the window right next to it is a bit smoother and flatter, which reflects those trees more cleanly. So basically, the flatter the surface, the cleaner the reflection. There is a way to solve this though, which is one of the most important parts of ray tracing. You can only see this best in real time, which unfortunately we can't, but to counter this noise, rendering engines actually use denoisers. However, the stronger denoisers work across time, not just space. They accumulate ray samples over many constructive frames and blend them, so a reflection that's noisy on frame 1 converges to something clean by frame 10, for example. In actual motion, that cleanup is happening constantly and you barely notice it, but a screenshot is a single frozen frame. game. If this screenshot was grabbed before the temporal denoiser had accumulated enough history, for instance right after the camera moved from a free cam that repositioned, you're looking at the noise mid convergence with none of the motion that normally hides it. Freeze framing is genuinely the cruelest thing you can do for a real-time RT image. And again, you can see that this glass here is perfectly flat, and so the reflections are perfectly reflected. Just look at the difference. We can use this as a benchmark for how accurate reflections are, because this is the most high quality reflections that we'll see in these batches of screenshots. And you can see that the actual non-reflective shadow right here is super smooth, but then in the reflection you can see already the noise being present. The less flat the surface is that the reflection is on, the more noisy it's gonna be, and this is why those more shaped rounded pieces of geometry are so noisy, because this should be just smooth metal and it's not. I mean, this is one of the most high quality screenshots I have seen. First of all, because if you look all the way in the back, the way the hair is rendered still looks absolutely amazing and the quality just does not seem to go. But also, if you look at this character model, just like last year, you can see that this guy has a lot of pores in his face that you can still see from a long distance. This was the case last year as well. For example, with Cal Hampton here, you can see all the pores. And when you zoom in, there's still a lot of quality, but you do start seeing all the compression of the image. And this is the original file. You can also see that there is still sweat, and they've improved the sweat in the engine over the last year. This was seen most notably on booties and legs. So you can see here that this sweat is also in these screenshots of last year. The lighting and coloring accuracy has also drastically improved. I mean, just look at how the lighting is rendered on this bike, where this blue is almost glowing, as well as kind of the clothes and the mask that this guy is wearing. And it is because of this dude actually filming this couple here on the bike. And if this was a moving image, it would be a dynamic light as well, because the guy is clearly holding the phone and moving it around. And man, this motorcycle just gets me so hyped the way it looks. It looks just so good, man. And you can also see like the ray tracing and stuff. You see these little like spickles right here that you can see. So this is either dust, which I don't believe it is because this motor is supposed to be brand new, and because you can also see it on here, and this is because of the ray tracing. It's just an artifact that shows a little bit of that sampling. So even though this is probably being captured on a PC, this is not like a CGI render that is like super fake. It is still accurate to the product that we will see in the eventual game. And I can tell you already, this is gonna look even better in the game itself at release. This has always been the case for Rockstar titles. I think they intentionally do make the screenshots look better than what they see at the moment in engine, because it's kind of a benchmark for all the developers to make it look like this in real time by release. By the way, I just love these clothes. Laser, Force, Vice, Beach, Narcos. And you can see all these like camouflage things, and the body types are absolutely crazy as well. And I have no idea why they did this, but why are the legs this way? What is this? Is this like a mistake, or what? Is this normal? Is this something people do? That's a little too extroverted for me. And this dude just looks like he's about to, you know, snitch on some people or something. He looks very suspicious. Very suspicious. Is skateboarding gonna be in the game? Is this a tease for skateboarding? I'm getting distracted, man. Now let's talk about this shot right here, because I feel like these like character models look super low quality, and a big reason is because they're pretty far away, and the focus is obviously on, you know, all the rest of the shots. But I mean, they're the characters. Why aren't they looking as sharp as they should? Well, there's a couple of things right here. First of all, these are the LOD models. LOD means level of detail. This is a video game rendering technique where, as you can see, the character or object that's closest to the camera will have the most polygons. You see how much triangles there are in here. This is the most high quality model that they use for cutscenes and close-up hero shots is what they call them. And then you have the LOD levels, which is 1, 2, 3, and you can go on forever. And you can see that these triangles start to be bigger and lesser as the levels go on, lowering the quality of the model as it is further and further away from the camera. And that's exactly what I think is happening here. You can just see how smooth Lucia's face is, meaning there is almost no details in terms of facial features. With Jason it's a little bit different, but that's because the hair is still very much intact, and they did improve the hair a lot in this new drop of screenshots. You can also see that the texture mapping is a little bit less. You can just see that everything feels more flat and less detailed than it would be up close in the camera. And one thing that I also feel like is the case here is a screenshot, so I can't really see it, but it almost feels like the cloth simulation is just way less or even non-existent. You don't really see any folds that you would see if you would be driving on a boat in the middle of the windy sea, right? I guess it's not a sea, it's more like a canal, I guess. And by the way, I never realized there was an actual different boat here too, like a yacht. That's crazy. Super nice. I need to zoom into these more, man. But again, if you look here, it's pretty difficult to see like what's actually going on. And again, the lighting engine is pretty dope because a lot of stuff is just overexposed, which means that the camera cannot pick up the details because it's just so bright, it's fully white. And this is a creative decision that Rockstar made because it is more realistic. This is how camera lenses work in real life as well. Now, one thing we've mentioned before is that sampling of the ray tracing, which gives you all these little dots instead of a smooth metal. And this, I think, is supposed to be just smooth, but because it's far away, the ray tracing isn't really making it as smooth as it's supposed to be. But then you go to a screenshot like this and you see that there is a lot of quality. You can see the facial features, the ray tracing in the back on the reflections are very cool, and you don't really see that little sampling like thing that we talked about. The only thing I would say is that Lucia's face is smooth, but I feel like this is because she has makeup on. Because if you look, she still has that little dot right here that she always has in every screenshot and trailer. And also, if you look at the legs, you can see like not really the veins, but the skin being very detailed. Like if you would take a picture of this and you show somebody, they would think that this is a real picture. It really showcases how much detail Rockstar puts into skin and flesh. You can even see some scars right here that have been healed, which is insane. And the same goes for Jason, where you can see here all the details in the skin as well. So it's not that Lucia's face got a downgrade, which is what everybody is saying and thinking. I think it's just makeup to showcase that you can have makeup with this Ultimate Edition. So let me know what you all think of this little tech breakdown. Hopefully I explained it well. Of course, the guys at the YouTube channel Digital Foundry are best at explaining these things in depth, but this was my attempt. Hopefully you enjoyed it and understand a little bit better how this game actually works under the hood. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to the members, and let's get hyped, boys. See you guys next time. Bye bye.